Okay, and this is going to be the last video for this week, and you guys are going to be done. And we're going to be covering what we left off on as far as like moving into the body of your speech and understanding your conclusions of the speech, right? And like how all of that kind of ties together to be able to give you one full and very like cohesive and comprehensive speech in which you're delivering and giving us all of the things that we need to be able to move forward and understand what you're actually talking about in your speech. So, and as you guys can tell from my last video, my hair is very long, so I am wearing a hat today, so just letting you guys know. So I will wear hats most of the time, but for you guys, I actually do my hair, but not today. I'm sorry, I'm lazy. In any case, I'm gonna share my screen again with you guys and we're gonna finish up. All right. So before we get into the conclusion, I want to discuss with you guys the body of your speech as I kind of went over in the last video, but I want to kind of talk about it a little bit more. Ooh, excuse me. In any case, the body of your speech is meant to present all of the information that you have collected regarding the topic of your speech. And like I said, this is very important for your informative and persuasive because you're going to need to gather that information and present it to us in a cohesive and concise way where it's going to show us how exactly you gathered all that information, how it pertains to us, and why, right? We in public speaking, everyone always has this question called like the so what, right? Like, so what? Like, why does it matter? Why did you do all this research? Why should I care, right? And that's where you're going to be able to deliver all of that information to us in the body of your speech, right? So you're going to be able to cover that whole so what question by giving us an understanding of like how it actually affects us by using statistics and other statistical matters like research, right? So that's secondary and primary research, which you guys won't actually be doing primary research, but your secondary research will come from your scholarly sources, right? And it's going to come from like magazine articles, and it's going to come from scholarly sources, things that you've actually had to go through the library database and do for your research, right? And for your speech, so that you're going to be able to deliver that to us. And the body of that is just going to kind of gather all together, right? But when you deliver all of that information to us, you've given us everything, now you're going to have to conclude your speech, right? And that's where the big conclusion comes in. And so, as I said, like after presenting all the main points of your speech and revealing your topic and establishing your credibility, it's time for you now to end it, right? Because we can't just keep talking about research all day. I mean, if you could, that's great, that's awesome, but also you're going to have to make a conclusion, right? You're going to have to tell us like, and this is XYZ. So, all right. So when you're ending it, there are a couple of different ways you can signal the end of your speech, right? However, one way to signal the end is you can signal the end by doing a crescendo ending or a dissolving ending. And so a crescendo ending is defined in your book as a conclusion in a way that the speech builds to a zenith or like a point of excess, or I don't want to say that, but like a peak, right? It gets to the very, very top of like this intensity, like if we're going back to our example about like plastic in the ocean, right? It's like if we do not stop polluting our oceans will kill all the fish. It's going to kill our society and make our air toxic to breathe. And we'll have to walk around with not only mask on, but like actual oxygen tanks to actually even go outside, right? That's a crescendo where it's like you're delivering the message to like a point where it's like there's just no return. Like at this point, with all the research I've given you, there's no return if we keep doing this, right? And that's kind of one way for you to just like get to that point, and then like that's where you're going to be able to conclude, right? And that's when your conclusion will come down, and you'll be able to discuss like how to do that. And that's usually something that you will do in a persuasive speech. An informative speech, you're just going to tell us like straight up what the information is, or you can do it in a dissolving ending, as we mentioned. And that is defined in your book as a conclusion that generates emotional appeal by fading step by step to a dramatic final statement, right? So it's like, so if I was saying, like, going back to our example of the plastic in the ocean, if I was saying, like, you know, it was those times that I actually went out to dinner with my family and we had sushi together. And if we keep polluting our oceans, we're no longer going to be able to have that quality family time by sitting together at a sushi bar or having jokes and laughing at a sushi bar or anything like that, because we're not going to be able to actually have fish anymore. There's not going to be a wonderful like aquatic land. It's just going to be total shit. So so that's one way to kind of look at it, right? Like, so there's two different ways, kind of like doing the emotional appeal, and they're both pretty emotional, but kind of doing an emotional appeal with the dissolving ending, but also in the crescendo, right? Like giving us information that places us at a peak for us to drop down on. So these are some kind of ways you guys can think about how to do your conclusions or how to lead to your conclusion. Okay. And so nextly, you're able to also reinforce your central idea, right? And so while signaling the end is a good way to end your speech, reinforcing your central idea is also a really good way. And there's a lot of ways that you can do that. By reinforcing your central ideas means to just kind of restate your topic, right? So as we talked about in the past, there's a lot of full circle sort of deals. This is kind of the same way, all right? And so there's a few ways that you can do this is by summarizing your speech. So to conclude, you could also say like, as I spoke to you in the beginning, I was going to cover like the statistical data, the amount of plastic that's in the ocean, how it is going to affect our environment, and the things that you can do to prevent this, right? And that's how you can conclude your speech. You can also end it by making a quote, right? Like giving us a quote from like one of the scholarly sources that you found, of someone saying like, if we don't stop doing this, then X, Y, and Z. Another way that you can do it is by making a really dramatic statement. So we can go back to that example that I used about like not being able to have sushi with my family anymore, or not having like any more quality time because we're not going to be able to actually go outside or we might die. So that's a dramatic statement. That's something that you can make. You can also refer back to your introduction, right? And that's also summarizing your speech, making that stuff come full circle, is that you're going to be like, as I said in my introduction, I covered X, Y, and Z, and this is why I covered it, right? So you give us an explanation as to why you're going back. So that's something like that. But there are also like many different ways that you can end your speech, right? There's, like I said before in class, like I don't make you guys follow the standard Western like rhetorical idea of what it is to give a speech, right? Like beginning, middle, and end, and that's it. There's so many different ways that you guys can do it. If you guys have a creative new way that you wanted to like construct your speech that's going to be extremely cohesive, we're going to be able to follow you, you guys are going to be able to do everything that you're going to be able to want to achieve, that's great. Go for it. I absolutely support that. But I just wanted to reiterate that fact is that like I don't ever want you guys to think that there's only one perfect way to do something, because there's not. There's many different ways that you can do that. And you can do that by figuring out new and creative ways, right? And we do that in academia all the time. So it's not all one size fits all sort of deal. It's more of like, here we are, we have some kind of strategies to figure out how we can do something, but if you have a new and creative way that you like and you feel that's right, go for it. So, but anyways, I'm gonna stop sharing that screen there, because that's going to be it for organization this week, guys. So I'm going to post some questions on here, and yeah, you guys should be good. I have a couple of questions that might be on the midterm here, but I'm not going to hold you guys to it. So we'll see. I don't know. But yes, that's going to be it for this week. This is going to be available for you guys ASAP because I am running behind. But in any case, I hope you guys are having a great week so far, and I will see you later. See ya.